Do I look like a gardener to you? I am a better, I am not a gardener. Hedging is for gardens. How does your garden grow?
With plus money.
With plus money. Hedging is for gardens.
Welcome in, everyone, to Betting Weekly Live. Wednesday, the 5th of November. You're with Steve Wyss and Nigel Seeley out there on location in Athens. Nigel, I don't even know what the word for good evening in Greek is, but hello.
Hello. Yamas is cheers. Hello, everybody. I'm in my hotel room. I'm in Athens, in the ancient city of Athens, and the internet connection in my hotel must have been put in by Zeus and Aphrodite, I think, back in the day, because it's awful. I'm doing this on my 4G. I'm in a dungeon. Hopefully we can do it. If I lose connection, Steve, I'm going to go down to the hotel reception and join you. But I apologise. I've done the tennis shows today. It seemed to be okay, but in the last hour or so, I've had all kinds of problems. So and the jackets. I bought the jacket to Athens, so it's all good.
I know that is proper commitment, bringing the jacket out there to Athens. I mean, what's the mood been like in the city after last night's result, of course, in the Champions League? A tough night for a lot of bettors, actually, in the UCL, Nigel. And Olympiacos conceding a late equaliser against PSV. So there were probably quite a few unhappy Greek fans, certainly from that part of the city anyway. But a few surprises across the board. Liverpool winning to 0 again might have surprised a few in addition, Nigel. Hopefully, we need you back here, Nigel. We need a load of winners. The Daily Double went down yesterday, sadly. So we're hoping to bounce back today.
Obviously, things must be desperate, and you're desperate if you're relying on me to come and get you out of trouble, Steve. But I mean, Bodo Glimt, I did think of you when that was 1-0. I thought there's no way that Steve Wyss would be on the unders there. So that was a bit of a bad result. In regards to the city of Athens, I mean, the majority of people here are Panathinaikos fans. Olympiacos is towards the port. It's a bit of a way from here. And I was watching the match last night, just full of Dutch. Loads of Dutch here. They must have come without tickets. It was very expensive to get a ticket. I was actually going to go last night to watch the game, but really, really pricey because it's such a small ground. And there was some kind of, they didn't have the whole ticket allowance that they were supposed to have. So it's difficult to get a match. Watching it was pouring rain at the beginning. I bet under 3 goals, so I was in good shape. But the rain was a big issue for that match. But the Liverpool match I watched as well. Real Madrid weren't at it. Liverpool contained them. Very, very impressed last night with Arsenal. You know, our ratings, I think Arsenal and Bayern Munich are now playing some of the best football in European football, and Arsenal just winning to 0 again. The bet that just keeps on giving, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And I think probably Arsenal, Bayern are maybe the best 2 teams in Europe right now. PSG might have to be knocked off the top of our power rankings this week. Welcome in, everyone. There's so many people in chat already. Thanks so much. Dante A says, Nigel, check out the James Joyce pub if you've not already. And Dante's put a pickup for the EuroLeague actually today in the basketball involving Panathinaikos. So good luck with that. Promotions and house specials today. Remember the soccer profit boost pack for the Champions League. Log into the BetRivers app or betrivers.com on any Champions League match day to receive a profit boost pack consisting of 3 separate boosts. So we've got live wager boost, same game parlay boost, and a standard wager Champions League boost as well. We've got house specials coming up in the Chelsea game and the Man City game, which I'll tell you about as we join those. And the Betting Weekly newsletter, of course. Please do sign up for free. 2 newsletters a week. Unfortunately, the bet that I gave out on Monday's newsletter lost. And you can guess what the bet was. When Bodo Glimt lose 1-0 at home, I'm in trouble. So, yeah, I'm sure a lot of people were thinking of me yesterday. But anyway, we move on to today's action. Let's have a look at the Champions League table. Here it is. We're nearly at the halfway stage. We will be after tonight. And there's 2 teams on maximum points, Bayern Munich and Arsenal. Benfica and Ajax are looking for their first points tonight on the board. Remember, you've got to get in the top 24. Otherwise, you are eliminated. And the higher up you finish, the better it is for you, well, supposedly. But anyway, we've got 2 early games on the card. We're going to start in Qarabag in Azerbaijan. Chelsea face the long trek here to Eastern Europe, plus 800 Qarabag, and Chelsea minus 345. I mean, you've got to think that this is just an annoyance for Chelsea, Nigel, to have to go this far. They're a clear favourite. They should win. But, for Qarabag, it's probably the biggest game of their season, isn't it? Bringing Chelsea at home.
Yeah, the Club World champions are at home in Qarabag. Big match for them as well. A little bit surprised about Chelsea being minus 345. I'm absolutely honest with you. I mean, I think they'll win it, but I don't think they're that short of a price favourite. I was trying to get with Qarabag on the Asian handicap. I thought that could be a way to go there because I don't see Chelsea going there and putting 3 or 4, well, maybe 3, but not 4 or 5, all these kind of numbers. Chelsea to win to 0 was a match that I looked at as well. The other thing, Chelsea don't have a massive match of the weekend in the Premier League. They've got Wolves team at the bottom of the table, so they can probably go very strong tonight without worrying about squad rotation there. Qarabag, nothing to lose. But during the day, the money has come for Qarabag slightly. They were $9 with Bet Rivers, now into 8. Chelsea, a little bit uneasy, minus 345, now into minus 325. I think the best bet tonight on this match, it's not going to be an official play, but I like Chelsea to win to 0. Chelsea, very good 2 performances in their last 2 matches, but against a very poor side. You showed the graphic there. The 2 teams at the bottom of the Champions League table, the 2 sides they played, Ajax and they played Benfica as well. Very good against Ajax, but it was a poor Ajax side. Benfica, Mourinho went back on a very emotional night in terms of the players and the atmosphere for that one. And I just think this could be quite a low-scoring game. I just think there was a lot of unders last night in all the games as well. So a lot of the unders bettors had a good night last night. I quite like Chelsea to win this to 0, 1 or 2-0. That would be a way I see this going. I wouldn't be betting them at the prices of minus 335, and they were minus 380. There has been a negative towards them, but I do think they'll win this, and they'll probably win it without conceding a goal. So if I was going to have a bet tonight, which I'll probably, this isn't one of my strongest bets. But if I was leaning towards a bet, and it's the early kickoff, people might want to have a bet on the early kickoff, I would go for Chelsea to win to 0 here, which, Steve, I can't even get the internet. I don't know what the price is now, but when I looked earlier, it was around about evens. What if it's that kind of price, that's where I'll be going.
Yeah, Chelsea minus 330 to win, and to win to 0, they are plus 105. So it's quite a big jump, isn't it, on the win to 0?
That would be my way. That'd be my way of thinking. I mean, Chelsea obviously Delap comes back here. He could probably start for João Pedro scores at the weekend as well. So they're still without Cole Palmer, but they have got goals. This is a young side, tough visit, but they went to these kind of places obviously in the Conference League last season when they won the tournament, and I think that they'll win this professionally rather than anything exciting. So 1-2-0 Chelsea to win to 0 plus 105 would be my way. I'll probably play this evening.
My lean on the game is actually under 3.5 goals, minus 148. I feel the goal line just seems a little bit high for this one. I do think Qarabag have been quite plucky in certain fixtures, but against Chelsea, I think it'll be a park the bus sort of job, really. I think they'll be very happy to stay in the game as long as they can. And I'm not sure they'll offer too much throughout the fixture, really. For those who do think the opposite, though, there's a house special in the game. Chelsea and Qarabag, both teams score, yes, and over 3.5 goals is at plus 160. So if you're thinking the opposite, absolutely get on that. I think I rather tempted some people into betting house specials yesterday, Nigel, and they're probably cursing me today. So what could them look really good? I must say this one I don't like the look of, but after yesterday, who knows?
I can't see the comments. Obviously, I'm doing this on my mobile phone. I can't see the comments. What's the general consensus in the group to this Chelsea match? Are they thinking it's a comfortable evening? Because I don't think this is going to be as comfortable as those odds suggest myself.
A bit of it's mixed. Effie Brilofsky says Chelsea and under 4.5 goals. Real Brandon King saying hard to trust Chelsea at the odds. Humble Levathian underestimating Qarabag is risky. And Byron's going Qarabag double chance at plus 220 just for a bit of soda money. So it's one of those games where I don't think anyone's going to be targeting this match heavily, though, Nigel, to be honest. No. Might be betting on it and some side props and things like that. When we get the lineups, I'll try and give them to you as well. 98% of the money's on Chelsea. 83% of the money's on the over market and the over-under. And, as I say, the favourite has won each of Chelsea's last 11 Champions League games. Interesting stat from producer Troy. So I think Chelsea win it. It's just a question of really by how many and, by how many goals are involved. But if I had to stick a scoreline on it, I think I'd probably go with you. 2-0 for Chelsea does look possible for the early kickoff. With another early game as well. Not too far from where you are, actually, Nigel. You could get on a plane for what, half an hour? Pafos against Villarreal. The Cypriot champions, of course, are in action. And Villarreal, a minus 305 favourite here. I think they're a little bit short, even though I do quite rate Villarreal this season. Pafos have been quite competitive in the games. They've had red cards, which have cost them as well. But they've managed to pick up some points nevertheless. The home advantage here might help them. Plus 800 on Pafos. Villarreal, obviously, they're a La Liga team. They're a lot better than them. But I'm not sure I'll be taking... I mean, Villarreal actually minus 335 now. They've been backed in. Pafos plus 850. I can't be having Villarreal minus 335, Nige, personally, even though I think they'll win the game.
Yeah, I think they'll win the game. Obviously, got beat by Man City last match. They played 2-0. Pafos have already been involved in 2 0-0 matches in this competition. The 0-0 detector was bleeping when I come here into the Pafos territory. Almaty and Olympiacos were both 0-0 draws as well. Interesting one this time because the market is very, very heavily on overs. Over 2.5 here is minus 180. Under 2.5 is plus 143. If you've watched Pafos matches so far in the Champions League, what you've seen so far, you'd be looking at the under 2.5 at plus 143 and thinking that's got to be a bet. But a lot of people I spoke to today, because I was at the tennis yesterday, I didn't really have a lot of a breakdown, but a lot of people I trust, big bettors, are liking goals in this match. It may have that feel that it's like do or die for them. Best opportunity for both of them to win a match. Both of them in the Champions League haven't won a match yet. So we know the financial reward for winning a match in the Champions League group stage. They could go at it. So it's whether you look at the form so far from the group stages for Pafos and think to yourself, well, that could be quite tight, or think, well, neither of them are going to. No, with due respect, I don't think either of them are going to get through to qualify. They're 28 from 32. I mean, obviously Villarreal need a big win here, but it could be a one that could go against the tide with the goals because of the financial awards, the way this is set up. But it's a very small price, a short price. Over 2.5 goals, minus 180. I mean, that's just like one of the shortest. Well, it is the shortest on any game that's a 2.5 goal line. And I'm looking at it. There's nothing I see from these sides that suggests it's going to be a goal fest. But you know, it could be the end. You know, we go at it, we win a match, and we get some financial reward. That's the kind of worry if you're betting on the unders here. But for me, I think these are the 2 early kickoffs are the 2 of the worst early kickoffs you could start in the Champions League groups that we've had. You always want to bet on the early kickoff and try and get some money going into later kickoffs. And these 2 really do look a little bit difficult. I can imagine a lot of people betting, but not for me.
Yeah, I Pafos plus 1.75 on the Asian handicap here. Looks an interesting one for me at minus 130. I think they'll be competitive. Bayern Munich beat them very easily, 5-1, of course. But I think Bayern Munich are playing on a different planet right now. So I would lean towards Pafos plus 1.75 on the Asian line. Over under, I don't really have an opinion here. I think it could go either way. 68% of the money's on the over for those who are interested. 89% of the money's on Villarreal. 92% of the tickets are on Villarreal. I think they'll win, maybe by 1 goal is how I would see Villarreal getting the result here. Just looking through some of the comments. Effie says Villarreal money line and under 3.5 goals at plus 110. Leslie Max says corners. Villarreal are actually on my blacklist for corners, Leslie. If you look at the way they play their games, the corners are not as high as normal. Even the Rayo Vallecano game against them went under corners at the weekend, although it was 4-0. Lewis Williams says Mason and Greenwood to score assist at plus 110. We'll talk about Marseille later. Steve, what is that red thing behind you? I thought you hated that. It's actually a cricket scorebook. I was going through the stats for the season. Yeah, it's been out there for a few days. Maybe put it away. You're right. I don't really like red in general. Pafos screams over, says Dante. But yeah, anyway, best of luck whatever you're taking in the early kickoffs. I'll bring you those lineups if we can before the end of the show. But moving to the later kickoffs, we've got Newcastle against Athletic Bilbao. Newcastle United are the clear favourites to win the game at minus 286 now with Bet Rivers. Bilbao are drifting to plus 850. And, you know, some people might look at this and think Newcastle look really, really short there. But Athletic Bilbao, they're missing a lot of players for this match, Nigel, including the key men, the Williams brothers, Sanset in midfield. It looked a depleted Bilbao, and a Bilbao that's not been really doing that great this season. Newcastle, St James's Park at home. For me, I'll be looking at the Newcastle handicap here. a lot of reasons for it, but mostly these missing players for Bilbao I think is going to be a massive factor for them.
Yeah, decimated by players missing, as you say, Stephen, also playing really bad, only 2 wins from their last 11 up against the Newcastle side that we know at home, St James's Park tonight will be absolutely rocking. They didn't do it against Barcelona. They were hell performances were waiting for their first win in the Champions League. And I just think here, the poor record they have, I like Newcastle to win this. Eddie Howe is quite defensively minded in these matches. He's very, very good at organising this side. And I think Newcastle to win to 0 is one of my better bets of the card today against a depleted Atletico Bilbao side who aren't playing well, who cannot be trusted away from home.
I'm going to take Newcastle minus 1.25 on the Asian handicap at minus 132. For those who want to be a bit more braver, the minus 1.5 is nearly evens. I hate that handicap, though. It's my least favourite handicap in soccer because if I bet on that, you can guarantee the team will win by 1 goal. You don't mind if they win 1-0, Nigel, because that win to 0 looks very, very possible. I think it's one of the better bets.
What is the win to 0 now, Steve? Steve, what is the win to 0 now on there? Is it again?
I will check for you right now.
I think it's a bit. I think it's about plus 110. Last I saw, I think that's a big price.
It's actually minus 129 now. Minus
Wow,
120
that's
now.
been bet today. That's been bet. That's quite funny because obviously the money line for Newcastle has been bet heavily, and that's been bet today. So there has been money for Newcastle on the money line and the win to 0. When I looked this morning, that was just around about even money. So that is quite a decent move. But I think they'll be defensively too strong against a Bilbao side decimated and out of form as well.
Yeah, just take Athletic Bilbao not to score, minus 129 would be the better option there. Same bet, but you got your 0-0 on your side as well. Just looking through some of the comments. Yes. 2-0, 3-0 Newcastle feels right, says Adam Thompson. You're a Newcastle fan, right, Adam? Pretty sure. But yeah, I think Newcastle are a good thing here myself. 90% of the money's on them. 68% of the money's on the over for this game, but 2-0 could be very, very possible. I think Bilbao will struggle in this game. Myself, let's move to Ajax. Ajax against Galatasaray. I think every single Champions League show we've been opposing Ajax, Nigel. The chat have been opposing Ajax. I'm waiting for the Ajax fans to come in and have a go at their own team again. They're so bad that Galatasaray are the favourites away from home. Galatasaray wouldn't be a favourite away from home against many teams in the last 5 years. But they are here, plus 115. And this is the state of play. Ajax are not what they were. Do we keep opposing Ajax in the Champions League this season, Nigel?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said to you at the top of the show, I was watching the Olympiacos game yesterday with some PSV supporters, and they were saying to me the state of the Dutch league this season is probably one of the worst Dutch leagues they can remember. This guy was in his 50s with his 2 sons, and he was just talking about the problems that the Dutch league had. And when they go onto this final stage, they're way off the pace at the moment. And Galatasaray obviously have got the main man in Osman, the striker, 6 goals in his last 5 matches, 3 goals in 3 Champions League matches. I know you're a big fan of him, Stephen. You'd love to see him in the Premier League. I think he's an absolute incredible centre forward. And this Ajax side is leaking goals for fun in this competition. 5-1 defeat against Chelsea, a 4-0 defeat against Marseille. Very much second best against Inter as well. So in the 3 matches at this level, they've conceded 11 goals. They were really poor against Chelsea. So I know that they went down to 10 men early doors, but Chelsea it was men and boys really. Their Ajax sides they're not doing very well in domestically as well. And I just got a feeling here that Galatasaray are worth getting with on the money line. They were plus 114 this morning. Is that still around about the price? Plus 114 last I saw. But I'm going to put that in my first leg of my daily double. But I'm going to go in for draw no bet. So I'm going to be a little bit safe because it boosts the daily double up. But I can't see anything other than a Galatasaray win here. And we talk about strikers. We're going to come to Haaland and all the big strikers tonight. But Osman is probably the best bet for me anytime goal scorer tonight. We talk about Mason Greenwood as well. But I believe that this guy is on fire at the moment, scoring goals, wants to show that he's one of the best strikers in Europe. And against a leaky Ajax side, I think Galatasaray will score a couple, and he's the bet for me anytime goal score as well. But my first leg of my daily double, draw no bet, Galatasaray on the road at an Ajax side who just aren't on the same level at the moment in the Dutch league.
Yeah, Victor Osimhen is minus 118 to score any time in the game. And he's plus 350 to score 2 goals or more and 13-1 to score a hat-trick. He's on fire. He's one of my favourite strikers, like you said, Nigel. Can he fall out with Galatasaray and Leeds get him on loan in January? I'd love that. Wishful thinking. But, I think Ajax just have to be opposed again. Nothing wrong with Galatasaray, plus 115 on the money line. And someone was asking what's the team total for Galatasaray over 1.5 goals. It's minus 148. That's going to be the first part of your daily double. And the money's on Galatasaray as well. 84% of the money, 89% of the tickets. John Heitinga, I think he's going to get sacked by Ajax soon. I read his pre-match comments. He said some strange things. He said, we've got to stay in the game as long as possible. That's a strange thing to say against Galatasaray. So he's under pressure. I think they'll put Erik Ten Hag back. If Ten Hag doesn't go to Wolves, I think Ten Hag will go back to Ajax and replace Heitinga. That's how I see it going. Personally, yeah. Sorry, there was a few issues there. I was on the mute for about 10 seconds a couple of minutes ago. But yeah, strongly in Galatasaray.
I thought it was me. I thought it was the problems were with me, Steve, not you. Cool.
Yeah. I was talking to myself for 10 seconds. Not ideal, but
nothing wrong with that, mate.
We move on to the Marseille game. I think is the next one on the list. Yeah, Marseille against Atalanta. This is actually going to be the second part of your daily double. A Marseille team who are also a bit depleted, it must be said, but have done better in this Champions League campaign than normal. Plus 143 at home to beat Atalanta. Atalanta plus 180. A side that I can never have. I don't like the manager. I don't like how negative they are. They don't score many goals. I think they're restrictive from their potential. And I've got a good feeling about Marseille, even though they are a little bit depleted to a degree, squad depth-wise anyway, with injuries. And it's a hectic schedule. But Atalanta didn't have a single shot on target in their match of the weekend against Udinese. They just don't offer enough for me, Atalanta, Nigel.
It's been crazy, isn't it? Because 3 years ago, when they looked like we're going to win the Scudetto, they were one of the most entertaining teams in European football. They were the bet every week on overs, both teams to score. They were brilliant. They're not so good this year, not so exciting. Marseille at home, obviously, at the Velodrome, are very, very hard to beat. They're having a good year. They're very entertaining. They've got a striker in form in Greenwood. I think they win this at plus 143. I'm going to bet them on the money line, but that's my second leg of my daily double. Is to be on the safe side. I'm going to put them in the draw, no bet market. I just can't see Atalanta winning this because my only worry is the draw, because if you look at Atalanta this season, their last 6 matches, they've drawn 5 of them. Marseille at home, very strong. They're beating Paris Saint-Germain, obviously in the league. They've beaten Ajax 4-0 and their only home match. I think they're going to be too strong for this side. Atalanta are poor. Galatasaray, draw no bet, and Marseille, tie no bet as well. It plays 177. I wouldn't be surprised to see both of these win. If you want to boost it up, bet them both on the money line. But we're keeping it safe. We're keeping a little bit of insurance with the draw, and they're my 2 best tonight. They're the 2 teams I want to get with most tonight, Steve. Galatasaray and Marseille. Not because they're doing so great, not because they're offering anything, but I think the 2 teams they're playing in Ajax and Atalanta are 2 very, very poor sides, especially Ajax, and I expect them both to win. But I'm being a bit careful, and if we get the draw, we get a push.
Yeah, that looks a good daily double to me. A safe one as well, really. I certainly don't see Ajax or Atalanta winning. Zizou 10, he's saying under 3 Asian goals. And there's a real clash of stats here. Atalanta, of course, 6 straight matches under 2.5 goals. Marseille, 7 of their last 8 matches have gone over 2.5 goals. I actually think it will go under as well, because I don't think Atalanta will score actually in the game. And I think Marseille are at a stage of their season where they might be lacking a little bit of energy, and they'll be very content just to win this match 1-0 or 2-0 if they had to. And of course, Mason Greenwood is your man to look at if you want to be looking at player props for the game, to score or assist, to score any time. He is brilliant on the ball, and he's had a fantastic season. So, he's definitely a player to consider. Marseille in this game have 64% of the money, but 67% of the tickets are on Atalanta. And I can only presume it is because Marseille are missing. You look at the injury list from Marseille and it is extensive, but how many of those would be starting? That is the genuine question that I would ask. Maybe 1 or 2. It's more to do with the squad depth situation, which is why they've maybe dropped a few points in domestically. But the first 11 for me is still pretty strong. That's available for Marseille for this game. So yeah, let's hope Marseille can get the result there. There's a trend, a stat that producer Troy's given me, and I hope this doesn't continue. Marseille have lost 10 of their last 11 Champions League games on a Wednesday. So let's hope that trend reverses. Devil says, welcome in, by the way. I think that's a new name in this chat, Devil. Never trust Atalanta, he says. There you go. That is what we're thinking tonight. And remember that daily double, just again, is Galatasaray Tano bet and Marseille Tano bet plus 177. Okay, let's move to Inter against Kairat. The newly crowned, they defended their title in out there in Kazakhstan. Kairat did. Their domestic season is over. It finished about 10 days ago. They're heading into the off-season now. So it's the end of a long, tiring campaign for Kairat. Inter a minus 5,000 to win the game. And on the handicap, they are minus 3.5. I've got the feeling, actually, that minus 3.5 won't be enough here, Nigel. If Inter wants it, I think Inter could rack up a big score. But it's the sort of game where some teams just want to get in and out, do their business, and crack on with the weekend. So are you tempted? Tempted by the handicap or not?
I'm not thinking about getting anyone minus 5,000. I mean, Kairat are plus 55,000 now. They're 55 to 1 to win this match. I looked at this match and I thought they're heavy money favourites, minus 5,000. But to win to nil, they're minus 250. Now, I don't really like betting things at minus 250. But if you do like betting things at minus 250, Inter Milan last season got to the final of the Champions League hardly without conceding the goal. And then obviously in the final, they got absolutely smashed by PSG. This season already, they haven't conceded a goal in the Champions League. You know, they've been 4-0, 3-0, 2-0 winners. I can't see Kairat winning this. I mean, they 0-0 against Pafos, 5-0 against Real Madrid, 2 0-0s against Celtic. I mean, that is an incredible jump, isn't it? Minus 5,000 on the money line to minus 250 to win to nil. And we know that Inter have got one of the best defences in the top competition. They've also got a striker who I love betting, Lautaro Martinez. I think he's an absolute proper player. I like him to score 2 or more tonight. He'll be on penalties as well. I think he's always a little bit of value on that market when I like goal scorer markets. But I was very close to putting that minus 250 into the daily double to boost it up because it's just a huge jump. Minus 5,000 to win. I could see this being 3-4, 5-0. And you could maybe put them in singles and try to get those and try to hit one of those correct scores. That was where I was looking at 3-0, 4-0, 5-0 to Inter. But if you like minus money shots, and you know in minus 250 might be not a working man's price, but if you like that kind of market, Inter to win to nil tonight just seems very, very generous.
It is now minus 375 to win to nil, but
is it?
But the Kairat not just Kairat under 0.5 goals is still minus 250. So it's the same bet. Apart from you've got 0-0 on your side. If it ends 0-0, I'll be pretty surprised. But yeah, you can still get that minus 250 on Kairat not to score, effectively Inter to win to nil. And yeah, I've got the feeling it could be quite a big win because if they're really serious about qualifying for the top 8, they've got some tougher matches coming up soon. It'd be nice for them to get a goal difference buffer. And I just simply think there's a big gulf really between the two sides. We know Kairat are travelling a long way as well. 5-0 on the correct score feels about right to me. What is the odds for 5-0? I'm just going to check now, actually. 6-1. Wow. In fact, Bet Rivers are not even offering correct scores where Kairat score more than 2 goals. So that just shows you how dominant this is expected to be for Inter.
4-0 Kairat bettors will be heartbroken if it comes in tonight.
Wow, 94% of the money's on Inter Milan. So 6% of the money's been on Kairat here. And 98% of the tickets are on Inter Milan. I thought it'd be 100% on both of those, actually. But the biggest bet on the game is on Inter Milan, minus 3.75 on the Asian handicap. $2,000 play at plus 148. Both teams to score has failed to hit in all of Inter's last 11 Champions League league phase matches. So that Kairat not to score at -250 looks generous.
Awful lot of wins to nils in there as well, Steve. You go back through the trend last season, they were the only teams in the group stages who ever conceded a goal. Their record going into the knockout stages was exceptional. They've done exactly the same this year. They know how to play these matches, and they don't. It's all on their terms, isn't it? If they want to go and put 5 or 6, they can. It's happy with the 3-0. And the other reason I think there might be a big few goals in this one is because I can't remember who they're playing now, but I looked at the fixtures, and Inter don't have a big game at the weekend. Every game's a big game, but not one of the big sides. So they might go all out to put a statement victory here. And they've been quite attack minded. The win against Union was a big win as well, wasn't it? So I think they'll win to nil. I'm probably gonna bet that in a parlay with a couple of other things at -250. I just can't see them. I can't see Kairat scoring. No way.
Nigel might be incurring the wrath of Lazio fans. That is the team they're facing at the weekend.
Oh, sorry.
Against Lazio.
It
shows the state of play that Lazio are in these days. They're not that big anymore. But they're not that good anymore. But they're at home though, so I know what you mean. It's not like it's a Juventus or a Napoli or an AC Milan. The next games for Inter in the Champions League, by the way, are tricky. Atletico Madrid followed by Liverpool in the Champions League, and they've got Arsenal as well after Christmas. So I think they will be focused to get the job done here pretty well. Ahmed Malim says under 11.5 corners. Well, I don't know. This is a sort of game where you could get a stupid corner count if Inter didn't score in, say, the first half hour. So
wouldn't you be better to betting under? Wouldn't you be better to betting under the corners for Kairat?
Probably.
Whatever. They're probably only like 2.5 or 2, or maybe 1.5. Maybe you'd probably be better to bet that, because if Inter don't score after, I don't know, in the first half, they'll be just throwing everything forward, and there'll be loads of corners. But that's a big if they score 2 or 3. But it's going to be a huge margin, isn't it? The handicap's going to be a big handicap on corners. But you're maybe betting. So if you're going to play the unders, you might as well just go for the dog on the unders and just play the low number.
Yeah, the corner line for Kairat is 1.5 or 2.5. They are -835 to get a corner in the game. I don't think I'd be putting my house on that one.
No.
It's not a guarantee that they will get a corner in this game, Kairat, at all. But anyway, let's see how it goes in that game. Benfica against Bayer Leverkusen next. I was a little bit surprised to see Benfica minus money here, Nigel. Not denying they should be favourites, but they haven't got any points on the boards, and Bayer Leverkusen I think they've been sneakily under the radar a little bit, apart from the PSG defeat. I wouldn't back Benfica at minus money right now. I'd need about +125 here myself. So for me, the value is actually on the visitor. If I had to stick my neck out on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at this match today. I write down all the odds and how I think the matches will be, and I was a little bit shorter than the 320 here. Well, quite a lot shorter than Bayer Leverkusen price here. Bayer Leverkusen, obviously under their new manager, they've conceded a shed load of goals. I mean, the 7-2 defeat against PSV was a very, very embarrassing defensive performance. Obviously, they're much more attack-minded and they open themselves up. But Benfica against the wily old Jose Mourinho, I don't imagine him going gun-ho in this match. A real match-up in styles. This obviously Benfica, much more organised, whereas Bayer Leverkusen much more go-getting. I thought this was probably a little bit of value for Bayer Leverkusen at +320. I would look to bet them +0.5 on the Asian handicap to get the draw on my side. Both of these sides have got poor Champions League records. Both of them are still waiting their first win. But the performances of Benfica haven't been great at all. They conceded 7 goals in their 3. But when you think about the amount of goals that Leverkusen have conceded in this competition, you couldn't be, you're going to be quite brave to bet them as well at +320. Leaning towards the dog here because they offer a goal threat. And the best of all the games, I think this is one that I haven't got the strongest opinion of. But if I was going to be forced into a little bet, probably Leverkusen +0.5 on the Asian handicap would be the way I'd be going, but nothing with any conviction whatsoever.
I like Leverkusen +0.5 a goal as well. I also like corners in this game. Over 9.5 corners at -120 would be my best corners play. the Leverkusen manager is someone I've followed for a long, long time for corners with his style, and Jose Mourinho is a little bit more old school, rather than some of the modern managers where they're just telling players to cut inside all the time. So I think 9.5 corner line is a little bit on the low side there, whereas in a lot of games you might get 10.5 line or even 11.5. So I know there's a lot of people who like to bet corners in chat. This would be probably my best corner bet of the day, and I do like the dog as well. Like I said,
could it be quite a feisty one? This one, given the way that both of them need a win, both of them have to get something from it. They've got any aspirations of doing well in the second half of the Champions League qualification. One of them's, anyone loses this, they're virtually going to be out of the shake-up. So, Mourinho could get them pumped up. A home match, but your winnable match where he's a favourite. I just thought this could be quite a feisty little match. This one.
Yeah, I think it'd be feisty. They won't want to lose again, will they? Benfica, bare minimum, get a point on the board. Leverkusen could do with a victory. It's interesting with the Portuguese teams. I've heard from a few sources this season that all the big three in Portugal, their main focus is winning their own domestic league. It seems all three of them are desperate to get that league win this season. And I mean, Porto, for example, have been rotating very, very heavily in Europe this season. And I think a lot of the eyes are on that prize. I think realistically, the Champions League teams know they're probably not going to go that far. They get to the playoff round, possibly tops the last 16. I think this would be a draw, actually. I think draw is a good shout here. Georgie Belka says Benfica Leverkusen red card in the game plus 400. And the ref has given 6 so far this season. So, yeah, I mean, for those who do have access to the cards market, yeah, this could be the one with a bit of feistiness as well. This I'm trying to find the name of the ref now, actually. Didn't write down his name. Who have they got in charge here then? Oh, it's an Italian ref. S. Sosa. That name doesn't spring to mind very quickly for me, actually, Nigel, and I'm a bit obsessed with referees. Simone Sosa is his name. And yes, he has been. Oh, my God. This is like Clinton's, this is. Looking at his stats. He's all over the place with cards. It's bonkers. Right, okay. We'll move to... Actually, I'll give you a betting breakdown for the game. 73% of the money on Benfica. 79% of the money is on the over. Benfica have lost 7 of its last 8 Champions League matches against teams from Germany. That's a stat from producer Troy. That's an interesting one. Bad record against German opponents. Will that continue today? Right, Man City, Dortmund. Man City are the favourites for the game, minus 250 on the card. Borussia Dortmund travel to Manchester as a plus 575 dog. Ties at plus 400 now. Goal lines at 3.5, over 3.5 goals, plus 115. Borussia Dortmund are involved, Nigel, so I got this one written down as Nigel can take control of this game and give the best bets out. The last time I gave a winning bet out on a Dortmund game on this show, well, I can't even remember it. So fire ahead, Nigel.
Yeah. Matthias Sammer scored, didn't he? That was how long ago was it?
yeah, it would have been a while.
Manchester City here, look, they've been a bit uneasy in the betting today, actually, and there's currently minus 245. There has been a little bit of money around for Borussia Dortmund in the build-up to this match. Borussia Dortmund is a team that you and we speak about regularly on the rankings. You always move me down on them. But the fact that in the Champions League, they're a different beast. I mean, he scored 4 goals in every single one of those Champions League matches. I mean, it's incredible how many goals. In their matches in the Champions League this season, 19 goals across 3 matches. That is quite bonkers, really, when you think about it. Use one of your favourite words, Steve. That is bonkers. 4 fours, 4 goals in every single match, and you've got a 3-scoring Manchester City tie with Haaland, who obviously is a legend at Dortmund as well. Goal record there was phenomenal. Man City, obviously, this season he's been absolutely goal crazy. The market is looking at Haaland minus 195, and when we done the breakdown on these shows with myself and Neil Chang on Dojo, and also with Dan Roebuck as well, it was minus 150 was the price that you had to bet behind on this season statistically to get some value. Minus 195 does seem a little bit low, but the reason it's low is because the goal line is 3.5. It's not a traditional 2.5, and that's where I'm going here. it's very unusual for me to be betting over 3.5 goals in a football match. But I've changed my ways there. I haven't been drinking the ouzo, so don't worry too much. But I've got over 3.5 goals here at plus 114. If you want to be a little bit safer, over 3 goals here is minus 148. I just think with the attacking flair that both of these have, the way that Dortmund defend as well, which isn't great, and Haaland in the form of his life and goals from all over the place. Rodri's back now. Foden's playing well, assisting for them. Man City have got a massive match of the weekend against Liverpool in the Premier League, a huge game. So I think this one could be a good curtain raiser for that match. And I think there's goals in the cards. So over 3.5 goals here, plus 114 is one of my better bets of the night and one of the bets I will be betting. Didn't make the daily double, but it is a strong one for me. So I fancy goals. But I'd probably play over 3. Get the 3 on my side and the agent at minus 148, a little bit lower price. But if you want to go for the juice and get the better price, over 3.5 goals. I just can't see this not being an end-to-end match with goals. Dortmund, Man City, 19 goals, and now they've got prolific striker and world football, and a Man City side who are scoring goals as well. So over 3.5 for me.
Yeah, you are right. Dortmund have become a different beast in the Champions League. And, this is the sort of contest. I mean, over 3.5 goals, it's not often we'll see Nigel Seeley back at over 3.5 goals. We have to look out the window just then in case there's a blue moon. Quite literally blue moon, isn't they? Manchester City involved. But there's a house special for this game. And, this looks so tempting, Nigel, this house special. Honestly. Erling Haaland to score in the first half of this game has been boosted up to plus 140. And I think that's a massive...
Yeah, that'll do. Well,
really?
Yeah, we'll have a bit of that.
That's a great house special. But FGA Football, thanks for tuning in.
The only problem we got Sorry, Steve. I was just with the lag there. Sorry about it. The only thing I would be a little bit worried about for Haaland bettors at the minus 195 is if there is if Man City are a couple of goals up in this match with the Liverpool game at the weekend, they may take him off and rest him too. He might not play the whole full match. So that's why that plus 140 at Bet Rivers are boosting up for the first half is a good bet because he might be pulled at 70 minutes if the game is going the way that Man City hopes it to go, and saving for what is a big match for both clubs at the weekend in the Premier League.
Yeah, and that's a fair comment. Real Brandon King says Haaland first half scorer. He's on that as well. FJ Football, like I said, thanks for watching us later in Thailand there. He says Haaland isn't worth betting on unless it's a brace these days. He's plus 245 for a brace if you are interested, and plus 750 for a hat-trick. But be careful, he might get pulled from the game. Garassi, by the way, 70-1 for a hat-trick for those who are looking at a speculative bet on a man who does raise his game in the Champions League for Borussia Dortmund. I wonder if Haaland would celebrate if he scored against his former club. Be interesting, wouldn't it? Mike, thank you very much for your comment there. We do our best on this show. It's the whole production, like I say, big thanks behind the scenes to producer Troy and John Izzard for the graphics as well. It's a real to get these shows on the road, and especially today when Nigel was struggling a little bit behind the scenes. It's a great team effort to get us get these out there, and I think we just do the best job we possibly can. Haaland loves the Champions League, says Adam Heckman. My thoughts on the City game. Do you know what? This is a game I'm struggling with. Dortmund are involved, so I don't have a good record with them. Man City win for me, but I don't know exactly what score. Hopefully, we get a lot of goals. We'll see what the lineups are as well for that one. But yeah, I'm not going to bet heavily on it, but that house special looks really good at plus 140 for Haaland, I must say. There's a breakdown of the money for the game. 92% of the money's on City, 86% of the money's on the over for the game. There is the biggest prop bet of the night is on Erling Haaland to score at minus 186 across any of the matches. So and City have a great record against teams from Germany. Won their last 12 UCL home matches against German opponents. Looking good for them. We finished with Club Brugge against Barcelona. Club Brugge are the home dog here at plus 460. Barcelona are minus 210 now, actually. And we've got a goal line at 3.5. which is now minus 127. And this is probably a bet that I like, actually, for goals in the game. Barcelona and goals usually go hand in hand in the Champions League, Nigel League. This has become wild. Tend to play one way. And we know Club Brugge, the home match against Monaco, they had about 50 shots. They're not going to have 50 shots here, but I think they'll give it a bit of a crack. I like the goals in this one to finish with.
Yeah, sorry, mate. I thought I lost you there a little bit. I'm back again here. I like the goals as well. Over 3.5. You're not going to get me to do 2 over 3.5 goal games though on the Champions League. It's not, the sun hasn't gone to my head that much. But I looked at both teams to score, yes, and I was absolutely shocked with the price of it. I think it was like minus. What was both teams to score? Yes, minus 250 for both teams to score. Yes, I thought. It does look a game of goals, but if you're betting both teams to score yes at minus 250, you might as well take the over 3.5 at minus 127. Barcelona just score goals for fun. Brugge, every match they played so far in the Champions League, both teams have scored. The last 8 matches for Barcelona, both teams have scored yes as well. So yes, goals. I'm going to keep it short and sweet because I don't want to cut out again, but I'm going to go with you, Steve. I'm not going to have an official play, but I will be looking at goals. But minus 127 over 3.5 would be where I'm going. Both teams to score, yes. You could put that in the same game parlay. Barcelona to win and both teams to score to boost it up if you want to get. But goals is definitely the theme in this match.
Troy's put up the starting lineup for Chelsea today. It looks pretty strong from what I've seen on there.
Is Delap playing, Rory? Steve, is Delap playing up front?
He is not starting the game, Delap.
Right.
I'm just going to see.
So they've got João Pedro up front.
Yeah, João Pedro's up front. Gittins is playing as well. Let's hope he doesn't have that miss that he had against Spurs at the weekend for Chelsea backers. Delap is on the bench. I mean, it's a strong bench from Chelsea. They've got I think, maybe the best squad in Europe for depth. It's incredible, the depth they have. They've got weapons on there if they need to bring them. Esteval starting for them. Andre Santos gets a game as well. Reece James is the captain. Back to the Barcelona game. I do like that under over 3.5 goals. That's for sure. There's been a big player prop bet on Lewandowski to score plus 112. Second biggest player prop bet of the day, anytime scorer. 97% of the money's on Barcelona, 75% of the money on the over market here. And that will do it for today. We don't want to lose you again, Nigel. So we'll just go through your best bets of the day and the daily double to remind people as well.
Yeah, daily double. 2 teams I like. Galatasaray, draw no bet, and Marseille, draw no bet, plays plus 177. I wouldn't put anybody off them betting them on the money line as well. I like Inter Milan to win to nil. I know it's minus 250 or minus $3, whatever it is now, or Kairat not to score, which is minus 250. If that's your way of betting, then that to me looks a good bet. I like goals in the Man City match, over 3.5 goals in that one. And in that Chelsea match, I got a feeling this will be Chelsea to win to nil. Very, very low scoring, and Chelsea will probably nick it. So I'm looking for Chelsea to win to nil. I also think Newcastle will win to nil as well. So they are my bets that I'll be having, but my main one for the show is the draw no bet double. Galatasaray and Marseille pays plus 177 for the daily double.
Yeah, my best bet is Newcastle on the minus 1.25 Asian handicap. Second best bet would be those corners in Benfica by Leverkusen over 9.5 corners. And my third best bet would be, I do like that daily double of yours, Nigel, but for me, Marseille on the money line, I think is great value at plus 143. Not a huge stake, but I think that's too big for what it should be, personally, on Olympic Marseille. Well, have fun out there, Nigel in Athens. How much longer you're out there for in the Greek capital?
I'm coming back tomorrow. I'm doing the Premier League show tomorrow morning. Hopefully down in the reception where it's a little bit of better reception there, and then coming back tomorrow afternoon. So I'll see you all back in Blighty tomorrow.
Well, safe travels, and thank you everyone who joined live or on demand. Remember to hit that like button, and if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing to us as well. Betting Weekly Insider as well will be out on Friday to your inbox, and do sign up for free. Sorry about Monday's loser on the newsletter, but it is what it is. There will be more picks for the weekend. So, and I'll see you tomorrow, of course, with James Easton for the Europa League and Conference League. It's always a good show, that one. So take care, remember, gamble responsibly, and see you next time on Betting Weekly Live. Goodbye.